Welcome back. I'm Jeremy with Desert Tsunami, and today's tutorial is it's actually going to be a shorter one. I am in crunch time right now as far as my game goes, so a lot of small things here and there that need to be fixed, setting up the Steam page, just a lot of stuff going on. So this one's going to be relatively short. What we're going to be looking at today are shop processing and variables. Now, shop processing is relatively straightforward, so let's go on and look at that right now. Let's come into our house. Or if you've built a shop, you can do that as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an NPC right here. It's going to call them Keep. Let's call them Shopkeep. Of course, if it's an NPC, we need to grab some type of image for them. Let's go on and fit that in there. And then we have to get to our shop processing. To do that, double click in your contents, go to page 3, and it's going to be the second button on there. When you click on that, you're going to have this window pop up at you. Off the bat, if you want that shop to only be purchasable, so the player cannot sell things to the shop, then you'll click on purchase only. Otherwise, just leave this off. Alright, adding things to our shop is a lot like changing the items or something for a player. We did see this exact same window not too long ago. So if we want an item, we'll say item. We'll choose our item, so potion. And then down here on price, we can either have standard, and what standard does is it's going to pull the price directly from the database. If we say specific, say maybe we have a traveling merchant and he sells things for a little bit less or a little bit more, you can have it specified here. For the most part, you'll probably want it on standard, but it really comes down to your game design. From there, we just say okay. We can keep adding to this. Maybe we want them to offer a, let's see, a knife. We'll say okay. And we want them to offer some armor. Not a lot of armor in here. Okay. Cloth armor. Good enough. Once you're done with that, you just say okay. Okay there. Hit apply. And okay. And you're pretty much done. Or are you done? See, that's how we can set up a very basic shop. This does work, but it's a little boring. When our player interacts with this character, a shop is just going to pop up at them. They don't have a choice to deny it. There's no real interaction. It's almost like working with a vending machine. So let's spruce this up a bit. I'm going to leave this alone for now, since I already have it set up, and I'm going to start building some stuff down here. So, let's have this shopkeeper say something. Shopkeeper. Remember, if you want them to have some type of a portrait, we can add that in here. I don't have much, but you can what I've got. Went a little bit far over there. What I've got. There we go. Okay, that's a pretty decent setup, but that still doesn't give our player any choice, especially the way it's set up now. So, let's also add a choice. Maybe we'll have the player say, let me see what you have. Or, I think I'm good. Thank you. And then we'll say okay. Okay, so essentially what we have here is something that looks like a conditional branch. It's definitely just a branch. So, let's do this. Let's cut our shop processing by hitting Control X. And if the player says yes, we're going to paste it right in there, and it's going to open up the shop. If they say no, it just ends. We also want them to say something when it's over. So we'll say, come back anytime. We'll say okay, apply. And of course we do want to test this. Especially if you're not used to making shops, definitely test these out. Make sure they work right. Ooh, that's loud. Okay. That works pretty well. Now let's look at some variables. Now let's say we want to make a collection quest. And I'm going to use them in the most basic way possible here. But we are going to go through a lot of the stuff that's in there. So let's say we want to make a collection quest. And for a collection quest, it's on the back end, you're not actually collecting an item typically. You're usually just collecting a number. So let's look at our variables. Over here, actually let's move this guy to one of the plants. There you go, because we're going to collect flowers. So name it flower. And we're going to double click on our contents and then come down here to control variables. Now, I said it quite some time ago, but a variable is a lot like a switch on steroids. There's a lot that goes on here. The first thing we need to do is select our variable. I'm going to leave it on variable 1, but this is one of those moments where you want to name your variable. Oop. There we go. Say apply and OK. Down here under operations, this is basic math operations. If we set it to something, let's say we have 3 flowers that we want them to collect. We probably don't want to use set, because let's say on that 3rd flower, we're thinking to ourselves, this is the 3rd flower they get, so we put 3 in here. Then maybe they find flower 2, that's going to set it to 2. Remember, what we want it to do is count. So let's go to add. You also have multiply, or subtraction, multiply, and divide. I've never used mod, but add will work just fine for this. We want it to add consistently every time we pick one up. So we want to say 1. And then we'll just say, okay. Of course, give this some type of a indicator that this is what they need. So flame is usually pretty good. And we want to put it on stepping and have the direction be fixed. That's going to be an important one for this. Fix the direction. And then we just say apply. That is your most basic way of using a variable. There's more to it, and we're definitely going to go through them. But let's look at what else is in here. So we can have variables run off of other variables. We can have it choose a random number between, let's say, 1 and 5. This is really good. Well, when I last used it, it was for a weather effect. And if you go play Vita Rift of a Nation in one of the jungles, you'll actually see this in action. And then you've got game data. Game data this is a big one. So when we click on it, what the variable is going to start doing is either counting how many of, say, potions the player has in possession, how many weapons they possess, how many armors they possess. If we come over here to the actor, we can select the actor and then select what we want the variable to track. I recently used this in Vita, the Ember Oracle, to do a level check. So every time a new character joined, it would check it to my main character's level and then adjust the added character to the party's level. We've got enemy. We have more character. This really is more the player here. So if we want to start tracking where the player is on the map or on the screen, this is what we're going to use this for. This is really good for things like certain events happening or transfer events, actually. Sorry about that. Once again, I actually just used this not too long ago for some transfer events and switching music, combining that with regions as well, which is something we'll definitely get into, just not in this video. We've got party, so it's going to see which actors are in there. Last ability used, last target, so just keep track of that kind of things. And then other, so map ID, how much gold they have, what the play time is, how many fights they've been through, how many wins they've had. So variables can keep track of quite a lot of things. So if we're looking down here for other and we say battle count or win count, and you need the player to have, say, 20 battles and then something happens, this is how you would do that. We'll say cancel and cancel again. Okay, we actually don't need this particular event, so we're just gonna cancel out of it. So we're looking for flowers, right? Let's just go on and copy this one. We're gonna make it simple. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. That's looking pretty good. Now, it does work, but here's something that we have to think about. When the player comes and uses the action button on this, what's going to happen? Nothing. It's going to add to the flower counter, and this is going to keep adding until the player decides they're bored of this. So, we need to fix this up. So let's go on and delete this stuff. Come back over here to our original, and let's fix it up. It's always good to tell your player that they found something. So you found a flower. There we go. And then we want to kill this particular page. So we'll say new, control or self switch A. Back on page 1, we do want this to turn on, self switch A. We'll say apply, okay. And then we can start copying and pasting it. Perfect. Okay, so what is this all for? Well, let me show you. Flower girl. You know what? Flower girls are always flower boy. There we go. Let's find ourselves a dude. That one looks good. And we're going to have him reference back to that variable. So he's going to ask flower boy, could you gather 4 flowers for me? Okay. We're not going to give the player a chance to even skip this one because it's mostly for educational purposes. So, our demonstrative purposes. It's for a purpose. So from here, we want to go conditional branch. We definitely want an else branch for this. So let's go on and check that off right the bat. Right off the bat. I am struggling with English today. Next, let's come over here to variables. Flower. Perfect. You may want to just select it one more time to make sure. Over here for what we want it to compare it to, we've got all of our normal math signs here. These two here are always going to be greater or equal than or equal or less than. But we want equal. How many do we need them to collect? 4. So we'll put 4 in here. And we'll say OK. If we have all 4, he'll say, thank you for finding the flowers. Maybe he'll give the player some money. So say 50 gold per flower, so 200. And we need to tell the player that they now have more money. Dim middle, you got 200 gold. Perfect. If we don't have them, we want him to reference back to that. So we'll say flower boy. I need 4 flowers. You only have, let's fix this. And then we need it to reference back to that particular variable. Now, if you hover over the type space, you're going to get this text display window. What we're looking for is variable. So \v and then the number of the variable. So we'll say \v, and it can be a little v, it's okay. And then 1. If you want, you can put 0001, but typically just 1 is good enough. So you only have blank flowers. And we'll say okay. We'll hit apply. Oh, we do need this to end though, don't we? So if we're in here and this finishes, we're going to do the same thing we did before. Self switch A. I'm actually going to copy this page over, paste it. So now page 1 and page 2 are exactly the same. I'm going to get rid of this entire conditional branch, make sure that it is on A, and he's just going to say, thank you for the flowers. She'll love them. We'll say okay, apply, and let's test this. So we'll have our players start right here. I have to turn this down just a little bit. Oh, it's so loud. There we go. Okay, so we see there's something shiny there. There's our flower boy. Could you gather flowers? You have 0 flowers. Okay, so he knows how many flowers we have. Let's go pick up 1 flower. There's that. Oh, we have battles on. That's not really nice. So let's do this. Because I completely forgot that we even had the battles on. So we have them going across the whole map. We're just going to delete them. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so we know he counts our flowers, so we have 1. We have 1 flower. Perfect. If we go back and catch another one, he'll tell us that we have 2 flowers. So let's just go on and finish this off. We found a flower, perfect. Now he should give us 200 gold. Thank you for the flowers, perfect. We have 200 gold. And that is essentially how variables work. Now, as I mentioned, there's a ton of other things you can do with them, and we're going to be going over some of them in future tutorials. But just getting an idea of how they work, this is going to be the best way and the simplest way to understand them. So go on and give them a shot. I'm sure you'll be able to find several uses for them, especially for your quest, or even counting battles. So, with that said, keep playing and keep creating. Bye for now.